Blimey.
What you got there? Is that more gear?
Oh, not more gear.
Really? More gear? Show me.
Blimey.
I want one of those.
You're having a laugh. In one gear and at the other. Cycle of gas.
In one gear, out the other. Hello, and welcome to Cycle of Gear. My name's Matt. You might know me from such wonderful artistic endeavours as pedalscapes. What we're doing here then? Good question. What is Cycle of Gas? I think I might have gone over this before, but basically, nature abhors a vacuum. So sometimes accumulation of gear, we, keep buying gear, suffering with the gas gear acquisition syndrome, keep buying gear, and eventually, I talked about, piggy banks can only stretch so far, but what also eventually happens is you've only got so much cupboard space to store all this stuff. And if you've got a nice bit of gear and you're not using it, the good thing to do is to send it on back out into the world. So I've recently been inspired. I mentioned before about 60 Cycle Hum doing some nice stuff about reverb. So they're long podcasts recently chatting to, I think I said Clive or Cyril, whatever his name is, from Reverb, about used gear and guitar gear specifically. It was very inspirational. Go and check it out. But stay here, listen to what we got to say. So this thing about abhorring a vacuum. So get rid of gear. For me, this is what's happening. Trying to get rid of gear that I don't use anymore. It needs to go to a home where it's appreciated, and kind of there's a little bit of cash that comes back in, maybe not what you paid for it, or sometimes more than you paid for it. Depends on the piece of gear, really. And then there's space. So trying to not get too attached to all of this stuff, but at the same time, appreciating what is there while it's in your custody. And sometimes the space created is that vacuum that is abhorred by the nature or the gods of gear. So so where are we going with this anyway? So the inspiration here was, I was thinking recently, I bought a few guitars already this year, 2025, and I'm thinking it'd be nice if I got rid of some that I'm not using, so someone else can appreciate them and make a little bit of space, bonus one, and bring a little bit of cash back in, bonus two, to, for whatever reason, to help with the general coffers or to buy more gear. It's all good. It's all good. As a wise man once said to me this morning, actually, it's all gravy. So that's where we are. I want to rehouse at least 3 pieces of gear before I get another one in. Now it's quite a lofty ambition, actually, because I'm a Keeley freak, and Keeley are going to release some pedals in a minute, probably the week after next or whatever. And, in fact, exactly 2 weeks from now. And it might not be possible to contain myself. But I think, it's good to have, for me, it's just me talking about my situation. And if it aligns with your situation, yeah, let's chat about it in the comments and everything like that. Keep watching. Subscribe to the channel, blah, blah, blah. YouTuber cliches. Too much coffee. And so, yeah, if I can get rid of 3 bits of gear, that'd be great. So I've already started it, you know, cycle of gas on reverb. I've got 3 guitars up. One of them sold the next day after posting, and the other ones, I've had a few nibbles, but I'm probably overpriced on them, or there's not as much demand. So that's good. And the guitar that sold, I had a well-known guitar shop, one of the biggies in the UK, priced it up for me, and the price I got on reverb was £100 more than I was offered by the shop for doing a Part X. So it's a balance of things. It depends what you want. You know, it was a Squire, so I can understand the shop lowballing me. But it's a balance of things. So anyway, what am I gassing about? See, this is the point I'm trying to get around to. What am I gassing about at the moment? And I already mentioned the reverb podcast from 60 Cycle Home. Well, earlier in the year, Fender released the Player 2 modded, and one of the strats was in that beautiful purple dusk colour, HSS, with a Floyd. And I thought, oh, that's really nice. And Ryan did a great demo of that as well. So from 60 Cycle Hum, it got me hankering, gassing on a Floyd equipped guitar. Now, the only previous guitar I'd had with a locking trem system was way back in forever ago, probably before you were born. And it was a Strat copy, and the brand was Marlin, and it had a Marlin fish on as the 12th fret inlay. And it was some sort of metallic pink colour, and it was a cheap POC, to use a modern term. And, you know, it was all right. And I don't even remember what happened to it. It mysteriously vanished while in the care of a now ex-girlfriend. I think she just may have burnt it or smashed the out of it. But probably did the world a favour eventually. And her ears, if she didn't want to hear me, "You care more about that guitar than me." Woo! Okay. I still have fond memories of her, not so much of the guitar. So I just wanted to qualify that. So that's my only experience with a locking trem, and it was decades ago. And just recently, my journey led me to Jazz Masters, and I've been enjoying the trems on those. And before that, I had the Harley Benton Fusion with the I think it was a Wilkinson trem on those, and I really enjoyed that as well. So for a lifelong trem avoider, I mean, I had the Telly Deluxe with a Bigsby on, and that was shocking. Nearly. That was shocking. Because it just used to chew strings up all the time with that Jazz Master style rocking bridge arrangement. Awful, awful bloody thing. So it was decades later that I got a fixed bridge put on that. Oh no, you wrecked a 72 Telly Deluxe. Well, I think the Bigsby was retrofitted when I bought it as a junker in the decade that was 40 odd years ago. Oh, crikey. Tempest Fugit, blah, blah, blah. Back to the freaking point, Matt. So, anyway. Floyds. So the Fender Player 2 modded with a Floyd in that gorgeous dusk. I tried the non-Floyd version, and it kind of put me on the straight and narrow because it didn't inspire me, shall we say, to buy it. So I'm still gassing on. Andertons have got this PRS. Now, before we go down this rabbit hole, I just want to say something about PRS. It's one of those things that people think, PRS, it's a bit Marmite, love or hate. But then, isn't it all a bit Marmite? Are you Gibson? Are you Fender? Do you hate all of those and you prefer like another brand, like an Ibanez or something like that? So it's all like personal taste. If talking of personal taste, personally, if you pick up a guitar and it feels great and you love it, I mean, that's all that matters, isn't it, really? But there are other things that influence us. We like our brands. I mean, I'm a Fender head, as you know. We like the way things look. I mean, I like rosewood fretboards, but I've got a ton of maple, and I like maple fretboards as well. So there's all these different things that come into the mix. So PRS, whether it's Marmite or not, actually, I quite like them. I've never been 100% on the way they look, but I've owned two already. So I both baritones. So I had the here we go. This is a nice bit of a GAS story, and in one gear and out the other. So I had the semi-hollow baritone, the SE 277 semi-hollow baritone, gorgeous looking thing, quite a nice sounding thing, but I just wasn't playing it. One day I walked past my local shop, and in the window he had a Tele Deluxe, you know, twin wide range humbuckers, fixed bridge, gorgeous grain on the wood, and just like my Tele Deluxe, but you know, in a more giggable sort of configuration. So I went in and had a chat with him, and he was willing to do a trade. He pulled my arm off for the PRS, and he sold it immediately. So I pretty much did a trade, and it turns out it's a 2009 Mexican Telecaster Deluxe Special or something. It's got, I'll do a video on it at some point, and you'll see. And it's nice guitar. And for me, it's something that I use more than I wasn't using the semi-hollow baritone at all. So there you go, in one gear out the other. Got rid of the PRS semi-hollow baritone and swapped it for a Fender Telecaster Deluxe Mexican 09 Special or whatever it was. Great stuff. And the other PRS, which I still have, is of course the other baritone, which was the 2020 in the charcoal grey sort of thing, and it's a very nice guitar, and I still have it and I play it. So it's a keeper. Like I say, I've never been totally enamoured with the design, the headstock, and the shape of the bodies and everything, but I get it. So Anderton's, pull the thread back eventually after going on a huge detour, getting back to the bleeding point. Anderton's have these, what's it called, charcoal burst SEs that they're selling at the moment. So they are PRS SEs. They're very nice looking things, and they've got a Floyd version, and it's reasonably priced. It's $699, which is, what's that? It's 300 quid less than the list price, or the price that most people are selling the Player modded 2 with Floyd, the Strat. So that's got to be a viable proposition. It's 24 fret with an ebony fretboard. I find that interesting. I've quite enjoyed the PRSs that I've played for the feel of the fretboard and the neck. And my friend Mo, his channel's, I believe he changed his name to just call me Mo. Anyway, check him out. He is a PRS fiend, and he's recently bought himself 2 SEs, and he makes them sound brilliant. So definitely check him out. He swears by PRS, and he's a New York boy, so it's all local for him. You know what I mean? But I get it. You know, they're popular worldwide. Yeah, so I'm gassing for this charcoal PRS, 300 quid less than the Strat. So what's the pros and cons here? Well, Strat is HSS, and I like a bit of single coil magic. You know, I'm not a big HH fan. And sometimes I find H's, the humbuckers, are dialed in too hot, and it's you can turn the volume down and try and get them to clean up. But often they just sound a bit woolly, which is why I like the Seth Lover on the Tele Deluxe, and I've got them on the eBay, the wide range humbuckers, because they're a bit brighter, okay, and they sound a bit cleaner. So So I think the Fender wins on the pickup configuration, although I've not heard the pickups. Well, I have heard the pickups on the PRS because I've seen a couple of demos. I think Anderton's did one, and what's his name? The chap with the long hair. No, not me. He was with that other shop, PMT, and they got closed down, and now he's doing his own channel and he's working. Dagan, that's him. So he did a nice demo on it. So it's all, you know, building up the gas for the PRS, and it sounds great. And he does do a little bit of clean before he goes completely mental. So yeah, it's got potential. Although I prefer the HSS to HH. Okay, so I think Fender wins on that one. PRS probably more attractive on the board, and then it comes down to overall appearance. Fender wins hands down with that purple dusk. I think in the flesh, that's a gorgeous colour. And then it's a Fender Strat. I'm a Fender head, so that kind of wins. But PRS, I think they're going to get it on playability with the neck comfort and everything. And do you know what? The Floyd itself. So the Floyd on the Fender, and that guitar costs 50% as much again, or 300 quid more or whatever, than the PRS. The Floyd on that is the Floyd Special, which is the cheapest Floyd going. Whereas the Floyd on the PRS is the Floyd 1000, which is the nicer Floyd. So big win for PRS. So overall, I mean, the gas has died out for the Fender, and PRS have won in the gas stakes. But I'm due a trip to the shops to try them both out. Which then leads on to, well, blow me down this week. Anderton's did this video with the guitarist Herman Lee, bit of a shred monster, who's got his own signature PRSs that cost you about, I don't know, about this much. It's about, I don't know. They're about $7,000, so they're probably pound for dollar equivalent in the UK. So they're probably about 7,000 quid in the UK. Might be a bit less, but that's a lot of bread. But it's a beautiful looking thing. Well, guess what? They've released an SE version. Now, this is quite controversial. The controversy begins here. That's 1,900 quid for an SE. Hold on, 600 or 700 quid for an SE made in Korea. You know, we think of this, the SEs being PRS's Epiphone or Squire, and it's $2,000. Now I know Gibson last year, $2,000, 1,900 quid. Last year, or over the last 18 months or so, Epiphone have gone stupid price-wise, and we're in a very uncertain time with the global economy. We've had the component shortage after COVID. We've had God knows what's happening with tariffs in America. So just prices going through the roof everywhere. But 1,900 quid for an SE, so a presumably Court Factory Korean made. Now let's put this in context. So it seems outrageous, and a lot of people probably are a bit up in arms about it. But if we put it in context, now a lot of people rave about the guitars that come out of these factories. Okay, so Squires have got a great reputation for build quality, and the PRS SEs themselves have a really good reputation. So if you couple that with the fact that this, what's it called, Chleo, the Herman Lee Chleo guitar, so the full model is a 24 fret, comes with a, yeah, it's like a shredder style guitar, and I'm not a shredder style player, okay, but I'm still quite attracted to these guitars. Like I quite like the Steve Vai models on the Ibanez's and stuff, but it doesn't mean I want to shred, because I can't shred. You know, I I don't have the patience or application to shred, but I love playing, and I can appreciate like a flatter radius. So I recently got the Artist AS72 that's got a 14-inch radius. I've got a Fender that's got a compound radius, the Stratocaster Elite from, or whatever it was, from years ago, and I appreciate that it encourages a certain feel and type of playing. And yeah, I still like 7.5 and 9.5 radius guitars. Like I've got the Jazz Masters recently, and I have fun with those. But I do appreciate when I get on now the artist guitars with that 14-inch. I think it's 14, or is it 16? It's really nice, and I had some friends pick it up and play it, and they go, "Oh, this neck feels lovely," and they're not shredders either. You know what I mean? So there's something to be said for that. So with the Herman Lee Dragon, so with the Chleo, it's got a 20-inch radius, so it's got a super flat fretboard, and the nut's wide at the end, so a bit like a classical guitar. But obviously he's a shreddy boy, but it's quite interesting. So that's really interesting. The design is nice. The body shape is super thin, and I quite like the shape of the body. It's not like a standard PRS shape, which has never really appealed to me. It's got the Floyd 1000 on it, whereas the full model had I don't know, another brand. Was it Goto or Grover? I'm not familiar with locking bridges, but it had another slightly posher whammy bar with tuning stabilizers and things like this. This is just standard Floyd 1000 with normal spring setup, and but it's got the same neck configuration as the expensive one, and it's got the same pickup configuration as the standard, as the the core or whatever they call it, the more expensive one. So rather than think, oh my god, £1,900 is a lot of money for a Korean made PRS or a main guitar manufacturer's sub brand, their Far East brand, rather than think like that, I'm thinking, wow, this has got a really nice neck, nice profile, ebony fingerboard, and it's got a Floyd on it, and it's got the Fishman Fluence pickups on it. It's got the same pickups as the core model, which is, quite a lot more money for a made in America and whatever. They look good, yet some of the carves are a bit they're not as intricate or ornate as on the full flavor one. But having a look around, I mean, I've seen a couple of reviews on it, and people really like the SE. And I saw a demo by Dr. What's his name? Hold on one second. Just recently saw his channel. 1 second. What was he called? Dr. someone. I saw a review on Dr. Andre Flood Music. Now, I'm not familiar with him, but I saw his review and it was really good. He went into depth about it. He's had the core and the SE for some time, but what he did on his demo was he played clean, and those Fishman the Fishman Fluence, okay, they, oh my goodness, I mean, they really do sound nice. Now, I don't like complication for the sake of it, so sometimes when you've got all of these options, it just becomes overwhelming and you get into the territory that's known as option paralysis. Now, there is a 5-way switch, and you've got 2 push-pulls, one on the volume, one on the tone. So that means you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the 5-way switch. I think there's about, I don't know, there's in excess of 10 different pickup combinations that you can have. But he played through all of them on the clean, and oh my goodness, they sound gorgeous, and those Fishman Fluents are getting real stratty tones. So that to me seems worth considering a little bit of extra money for it. And then when you put it into context, it's not just about it being made in the Far East. I mean, I've had guitars that were made in Mexico that are absolutely spot on and gorgeous. I've also had guitars made in Mexico that had to go back. I wasn't keeping them because, you know, QC, you know, shouldn't have left the factory, in my opinion. I've also had that experience with American guitars. Well, now we tend to generally think if it's, you know, if it's a Fender or a Gibson or it's come from, you know, it's made in America, we do, that is the bar that we associate with like top level, top tier, high quality. Now, guitars have been made in the Far East for decades. You know, Japanese, for example, Japanese guitars, secondhand and vintage ones are commanding, you know, decent money in the secondhand market. Korean made guitars being at that level, I think there's a little bit of an attitude adjustment. We're living in a time that of expensive guitars. I mean, so we just had the addition to the Vintera, where they've got the Vintera road worn, and they're gorgeous looking guitars. They're about 1,400 quid for a Mexican with a hard case. Now, you know, they're getting up there. The Vinteras, so the Player 2s, you know, are creeping to the 1,000 mark and maybe are going to go beyond in the future. And the Americans, it looks like, you know, they're, well, I don't know. You might get entry level somewhere between a grand and a half, but to get the full on models, you're well over the $2,000 mark now for the American Fenders I'm talking about. Gibsons, yeah, $2,000. You might get a Gibson, maybe a bit less when they're on special offer because they've made too many and they can't sell them and they can't bulldoze all of them. So 1,900 quid for a guitar that's well appointed, made in a well respected factory, and it's like a ventriloquist, isn't it? It's got all the gear, got all the gear. Okay, yeah, blah blah blah. YouTuber cliche. Right. So it demands attention. Well, it's certainly caught mine. So where am I going with this? Well, that's my GAS update. So it's that PRS. Oh, did I mention dragon inlays? There's another. I'm not too keen on the bird inlays on the PRS. It don't really float my boat. But the dragon inlays, now I like that. And now I've already mentioned Mo. He is the dragon boy. I mean, yeah. All of a sudden, 1899 or 1,900 quid doesn't seem too extravagant. And then hopefully this is brand new, so it's going to be the top price for a while. Hopefully, maybe in a few weeks, as the year starts to get towards, you know, silly time, we might. Oopsie. Hello, is anyone there? We might start to get in the territory where, you know, price drops a little bit. And as the dealers compete with each other, we'll see. It might be an availability thing. Anyway, what I would like to do is maybe book in with Andertons or Guitar or somewhere that have all three and go and check them all and see which one I really want to bore my vacuum. So I'm going to go back on Reverb and try and sell some more gear, because the range upper limit has increased with the addition of the Herman. the Chloe. So anyway, ramble. Hope you've stuck with me so far. Now we're going to go over to me on pedalscapes doing a sound check, a signal chain and sound check for the Keeley Manis. Now I've already done the Manis, but I got a second Manis because it's a Keeley thing where you have two Manises. So here is the sound check, the signal chain, and just the getting ready to scape with the dual Manis setup. So you'll hear them side by side, one set to boost, one set to gain, boost into gain, boost after gain, that sort of thing. Little quick setup, so hopefully you'll get an assortment of sounds, get an idea of what Manis is like, and a couple of the other pedals on the board, and then we'll cut off there. And if you want to watch the whole jam, you know the deal. You go to Pedalscapes and watch the whole jam. And well, here it is. It's Pedalscapes time, but it's also Cycle of Gas time. So in case you don't know, I've changed my other channel to be a short form. So if you haven't got time to listen to the scape, but you want to know about the setup, you can go over there and see that. It's a bit more short form, quick run through, sound check and everything, and stay here for the lovely goodness. You can listen to this. I do put it in my podcast playlist, even though I don't separate the audio out and do it as a podcast on all of the podcast services. YouTube do allow you to play their videos as a podcast, so I highly recommend it. I recently did that with 60 Cycle Hum, did a fantastic feature with reverb, which I'll talk about a little bit more on Cycle of Gas. And I had a long car journey to do, and I just had the audio on in the car. It was really good. They were chatting with the chap, Clive, I think his name is, from Reverb. And as ever, you know, Ryan and Steve were really funny, and their insights were really cool and really good. So top entertainment all round. So just listen. Yeah, if you want to. You don't have to. I understand if you can't resist looking at me, my lovely, fine, outstanding features. But if you can't bear it any longer, you can just listen. So check out the playlist of the Pedalscapes podcast and the Chain of Gas podcast. Okay, so what we got here? We've got the what I call the eBay Squire. So it's a 2013 Squire that I bought off eBay that had already been modded with the Creamery wide range humbuckers, and I further modded it with a Mustang style bridge, Geica lock-in tuners, Hosco lock-in tremolo, and the bridge is also Hosco. That's the guitar, from whence we go into the black Manis and the purple Manis, not silver Manis. Out of there into the Laney Cub 12R. From the speaker out, we're going into the two notes Capturate, where we split, and the cab emulated mic level DI goes into a compressor into record. The line out goes into the halo, out in stereo from the halo to the signal blender stereo as the input, which is the clean channel. In channel A in stereo, it's the Zoma. In channel B in stereo today, we've got the Strymon Zelza stereo phaser. The stereo out of the signal blender stereo goes to the stereo return of the simplified DLX to give it a little bit of analog style speaker emulation, and then from there into a stereo compressor, record into stereo. So that's the signal chain. So let's have a look. So we've got dual Manises on the board today, and I think I hinted at it earlier in the video. This is like a Keeley rite of passage almost. ever since the Manis was in its pre-release stage, we were getting footage of people having more than one Manis on a board, whether that was for acoustic or electric or whatever. So why would you? Well, why not? I mean, some people, it's a Klon clone, so some people prefer a Klon whacked right up, and you get that lovely, beautiful, rich, feedback type stuff. And some people swear by the Klon style circuit as a clean boost. So there's a good place from where to start. So I am going to have Purple down low, as a clean boost. So first of all, clean tone. Neck, bridge, Purple as a boost. And now the black set in the stock EQ with the GE diode, so the switch is down with the drive all the way up. So I forgot to. So we are clean at the moment. So clean boost. Now, a bit of plate from the Zoma. The phase needed switching again. Wow. So I'm going to do it the other way round now, and I'm going to put boost into a high drive. So I've got the switches, the options on the switches up on the Purple. Wow. And I'm going to set the PGH That's a clean boost. You can hear it pushing the valves in the amp, so hopefully it's going to push that front end of the other Manis that's already almost maxed out. So boost into a drive really. Right, a boost with the switches onto the bass boosted EQ and the germanium transistor. So I really cranked the level, so on its own now the black one sounds like this. Now normally if I was using it as a boost I'd take it somewhere down here, but it's just nibbling the tone a bit, which is really nice. I like that. So now let's introduce some of the other sounds. Halo. Okay, we're going to bring in the Zelzar. And the Zoma. And the harmonic trem from the Zoma. Okay. It's time for Cycle of Gas to sign off. If you want to see the full jam, continue on Pedalscapes. Cycle of gases. I'm going to hand you over to me to sign out. Scapers, here we go. Well, blimey, there you go. 2 Manises, eh? In one gear and out the other. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Give us a thumbs up. Do you have Manis? How'd you get on with it? Do you have any of this gear? How'd you get on with it? Are you interested in the PRS £1,900, nearly £2,000 scandalous guitar? Looks good to me. Comment below. Yeah, you know that one from Steve Cassidy. I'm not going to do the clicky noise. But yeah, leave a comment below and come back, watch another video. Join the good people on Patreon at patreon.com/pedalscapes, and hope to see you again soon. Cheers. My name's Matt. This has been Cycle of Gas, in one gear and out the other. Bye bye.
Blimey.
What you got there? Is that more gear?
Oh, not more gear.
Really? More gear. Show me.
Blimey.
I want one of those.
We're having a laugh. In one gear and out the other. Cycle of gas.
I've not really had. What the fuck's going on? My hat's gone wonky. Don't look at the monitor, Matt. Don't look at the monitor. Oh, God. That'll do. That'll do. I can't even remember what I was saying. That's another outtake there. Bollocks! Right. So I'll just say one more bit about it. I'm kind of the opinion. I want to say blah 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 blah. Hello and welcome. Lots of chair noise, lots of mic noise. Blah 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 blah. That's the freaking outtake sorted, isn't it? Ha!